Alright, now let's look at the looks section and what Scratch has to offer from the looks section. So I went into the looks section now. These are the code blocks in the looks section. Here comes the first one, switch to costume 2. Now, as you see, the costumes are here. So far we have experimented with sprite 1. We never looked at its second costume, which is costume 2. So if you wanted to import a different costume, that's when you go here, import, and there are range of sprites that you can choose from animals. As you see, it starts with a bat and goes up to zebra, and these are all the sprites that you can choose. And if you go one step up, you can go choose sprites from fantasy, and there are some for the letters. There are some sprites in the letters, and go up and you can choose from people. So different people that you can choose, and you can also go create your own sprite. I'm going to look at we're going to look into it later, but yeah, these are all the various different sprites that you can have. For now, we're going to only look for a meaningful costume for cat, and it's already there. That's your costume 2. Okay, so that's the costume. There's costume 1. If I go press costume 2, it's going to change like this. I'm switching between these two costumes. See, the cat appears as though it is walking, but it's at the same place though. So if I want to say switch to costume 2, it's already switched. If I'm going to say switch to costume 1, if I press this, it has no meaning. I will duplicate this and then costume 2. So I can go to switch to costume 2, costume 1, costume 2. But what if you don't want to change between these two costumes, and automatically I do not have to go and say 2 and 1. I can simply say next costume. So it automatically switches between costume 2 to costume 1 and 1 to 2 automatically, as you see here. Now, again, this code block by itself has no big meaning, or if we wanted it to perform something meaningful, again I will go get this, and I would want this cat to walk for, say, about 25 steps, right? I would say here repeat 25, and I will say changes your next costume. That's between 1 and 2 costumes, so it appears as though it's going to walk for these 25 steps. At the same time, we will go back into the motion section and then say move by, say 10 steps. 10 steps would be, I think, too much. I'll say 5 steps, and then you will see this cat moving from here to here at the same time, switching between the costume. Let's look at that. As you've seen, that was very quick when it changed its costume between 1 and 2. So we would want a waiting time whenever it changes its costume. So I will give 0.3 seconds of time each time it goes and changes its costume. So the first time it waits for 3 seconds, changes its costume, moves for 5 steps, again waits for 0.3 seconds, changes its costume, and then moves for 5 steps. And let us see what is going to be the effect of this set of codes. Now we have this cat walking slowly, and it is going to repeat itself for 25 times, and it stopped. So that is about next costume, and as I said before, pretty much the code by itself doesn't make any meaning, but if it is put in combinations, it does give you a meaningful response. Now, while shifting between these costumes, now we have only 2 costumes here, but we wouldn't know which costume we are using for the sprite. It only says sprite 1 here. If you really wanted to know if this is costume 1 or costume 2, that's when you're going to go and tick this checkbox, and you will see, you will view it on the stage, and it'll tell you costume 2. There we go. Sprite 1, costume is 2. But I'll say next costume here, and the costume has changed to 1. Now, we can make this cat say something. Say, for example, here it says hello, and there's going to be a speech bubble coming up, and it's going to say something. I would say, hi, Scratch is an amazing programming interface. And so I'm going to make this cat say the same. It's going to say, hi, Scratch is an amazing programming interface. You can always go and make it say things differently. But we can also make it say things for a few seconds and make it disappear. And why would we want to do it? Say, for example, say hello. It stays there for 2 seconds and it disappears. Why would we want it to say only for 2 seconds? I'll show you now. Say, for example, for 5 seconds it says hello. I will duplicate, and afterwards it says here, welcome to Scratch. And then again, after it stays there for 2 seconds, then again I will go and duplicate this, and I'll put it there. This is truly a cool program. It says for 2 seconds. I'll say this only for 2 seconds. I'm gonna now press this. It's gonna say for 2 seconds, hello, welcome to Scratch. This is truly a cool program. Let's check this out. Hello, welcome to Scratch, and this is truly a cool program. So this is what it does. So you can make it simply say something, or you can even make it say something for a given amount of seconds. You can change the seconds. Now, same thing with the think code. You can make it think. That's when the think bubble comes up. Really cool, and starts thinking, wow, that's something really cool, right? And it's permanently thinking it's really cool. But if you wanted it to say really cool or think really cool only for set amount of time, say control V here, I'll go make it think only for 4 seconds that Scratch is really cool. So I'll say think. It's gonna stay there for 4 seconds and it's gonna disappear. There we go. Excellent. Let me do that for you. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gone. Alright. The most interesting part is now when you're looking at the looks, changing the color effect. We're gonna go here, change color effect by 25. Actually, I'll go press that. See, look at the cat has changed its color. It's now changing its colors. Now again, when I press change effects by 25, it keeps changing its color, and finally it reaches red and goes back to its original color. Now, let's say if we're gonna go put this into a loop, and rather than 25, I'll just say by 1, and I'll press forever, and look at the cat, how it's changing its color continuously. So that is what it is to do, change the color effect. You can also set it to, but this number is continuously changing, as you see. It keeps changing the color effect. Now I'll get rid of everything. I'll say clear graphic effects. The cat has gone back to its original color. You can set the color effect to, say, 10. It looks like that. Set the color effect to 20. It becomes like that. So if you wanted to set a particular color effect, you can do that. You can also do other things such as fisheye, and then let's see what happens. Look at that. Set fisheye to 20, or here change fisheye to 25. It keeps. Now that's really funny, and it's just really amazing. Now you can also put that and say clear the graphic effect. It becomes normal. And let's go and put this into a loop and see how amazing it's gonna be. I'll say just one, and I'll say forever. It's gonna go and get a fisheye out of it. That is just amazing. I'll stop that now and go back to the looks. I'll say clear graphic effect. Same thing. Say rel. So it's gonna rel itself, and it's gonna rel. And let's wait for what happens. Say 2. It's gonna go forever. That's pretty cool. And I'm gonna stop that code too. Also go back to pixelate. As you see, it just gets pixelated, and that's just amazing, into smaller pixels. And clear graphic effect goes back to its normal. I just used probably mosaic. I never used pixelate. Let's see pixelate. This is what it does to pixelate, and what we've seen previously is nothing but mosaic. I'll stop that and go back to clear graphic effects. And yeah, we already looked at the mosaic. If you want a brightness, it really fades out. It's gone, fading. And if you want to make it -2, it becomes really very dark. Let's say, there we go. So these are all the things that you could go with and play with its looks. And let's see, let's first of all clear the graphic effect, and then say ghost by 1, ghost by 2. I'll say forever, and it disappeared. And we'll say -2 and see what's gonna happen. And it appears now, and not much difference. So it just goes back to its original color. I'm gonna get rid of this, all the color effects, and clear all the graphic effects. Now we can also change within the code. As I've shown you, this is to shrink the sprite, this is to grow the sprite. So if I go press this, the sprite grows, but it pixelates anyway. And if you want to shrink the sprite, it shrinks. But what if we wanted to achieve the same through the codes? So I'm going to say now repeat 25 times. I'm going to grow its size by 25 times. I'll say change size by 1. It's going to change its size by 25, and look at that, it grows. Now I'll say if I'm going to say -1, it shrinks back to its normal size. So that's the changing size, and you can set the size to a particular size. Say for example, if I'm going to say 200, set size to 200 will give me double the size of this cat now. Look at that. And set size by -200 will half it. Oh, actually it has made it very small. So I'll say -100. It's probably taking the relative size, so just get the normal size. We'll just get the normal size, and now its size is 5, and set the size to 100, and let's see what's going to happen. So that's its original size, and sets size to -50. Now it's going to become half the size. No, it's become much more smaller by not -50. I just have to say 50%. It becomes half, right? And just make it 2%. It's much more smaller, and that's why it can't go any beyond 1%. So set size to 1 and set size to 300. Let us see what happens. So that's pretty huge. So the original size would be 100, and anywhere if you're going to go less than less than 0, it'll just have the 0 size.